What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So I think Scream 7 is going to probably be that one film that said, let's just bring back every character we ever killed off. I know there's still a few characters that have been killed off that we haven't heard about, especially when you think about the first two films. And I'm wondering when Randy's going to pop up, especially since he was killed in Scream 2. In the back of the news van. So I'm just wondering when Randy might pop up, and we find out that he's going to be returning as well, because as you see here, David Arquette on his Scream 7 return, quote, "It was supposed to be a surprise," which in today's day and age, when it comes to spoilers, when we think about films upcoming, at some point it's going to be spoiled. I think there's just too many. It's not like it was when people didn't have so much access to the information, especially those working on the films, and everyone who happens to have a video camera and regular camera in their pockets, when years ago that was never the case, especially when cell phones first started coming out. I mean, cell phones didn't have video cameras or cameras. It wasn't until we got into, I think, the smart device era, and then from that point forward do we now have that capability and have one on us at all times. So the fact that this is just now breaking, I was surprised myself that this didn't break sooner, or this wasn't one of the first leaks that came out. Now that might just be for the fact that they asked him to come back, and he didn't start doing his filming until much further along into the production rather than early on in production. Maybe that's why it wasn't leaked, because people just didn't know about it. But again, I'm not surprised. So let's take a look at the article details. Scream 7 started filming at the start of January, and we've seen some surprising reports about the slasher sequel as it has made its way through production, with the most surprising and strange news being that Matthew Lillard and Scott Foley, who played Ghostface killers who were killed off in Scream, the first film, which was Matthew Lillard, and then Scream 3, which was Scott Foley, respectively, and David Arquette, who's played character Dewy, lost his life in Scream 2022, which was when they were bringing this franchise back. And to be honest, I was fine with Dewy being killed off. I was like, okay, he has served a purpose long enough. It is okay to say goodbye to that character. And I will say I'm surprised Gale Weathers, so Courtney Cox's character, hasn't been killed off yet, and she's coming back for this one as well. I'm fingers crossed that she gets taken out in this one, maybe halfway through the film. I'm ready for Gail to say goodbye to the franchise. I think she should have been killed off probably a movie or two ago, but that's just me. Speaking with coming soon, Arquette expressed disappointment that his involvement with the new sequel wasn't kept as a surprise, but also confirmed that it was a thrill to have the opportunity to play Dewy again. Spyglass and Paramount once intended to make a Scream 7 that would have starred Scream and Scream 6 leads Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, with Freaky and Happy Death Day director Christopher Landon at the helm. But then Ortega allegedly asked for a substantial pay raise, and as we saw when Neve Campbell dropped out of Scream due to a pay dispute, these pay issues don't tend to work out. So let's pause there. Actually, let's continue reading. No, we're going to pause here. We've covered this already. We did a video on this that, and I'm highlighting this specifically so we don't lose it. And as I explain this, we did a horror news update on this when Jenna Ortega came out and said, in fact, why she left the franchise. And the reason she left is because everyone else that she had done the movies with thus far was no longer a part of the franchise, and she felt it was the best business decision for her at the time to walk away from the franchise. I said during that video, and whoever watches, go back in the playlist and spot check me, and if I'm wrong, I'll drop a comment in the comment section and say, hey, I was wrong, I'll admit that. But I'm very, very confident. I said in that video that I had recalled the reason why she left was for pay disputes, and then someone came into the comment section saying, no, that wasn't the case. There was never, ever anything reported about that. And I could have swore there was originally. I spent probably a good hour looking for the information, the articles I recall reading, couldn't find them. But this here, I'm happy to see this, because this now, in a way, I'm not the only one that either saw that, heard that, read that, whatever, because here the author of this article is clearly stating But then Ortega allegedly asked for a substantial pay raise. I'm not, and it says allegedly, right? I'm not saying that it was definite. My way of bringing that up was to say, hey, that's what I had heard as well, that she left because they weren't going to pay her what she wanted. And Jenna Ortega has been in a lot of stuff lately. She's one of those sought after young actresses that people want to put her in, especially in the horror space. So I'm happy to see this come up again, because one, it tells me I'm not crazy. That is, in fact, I wasn't the only one that either heard or saw that. So, and I mentioned in that video, don't come out here saying that you're leaving because, oh, Christopher's not here, Melissa's not here, I'm just, it's what's best. No, stand up for the true reasons why you left. You weren't getting paid enough, or you weren't happy with why Melissa was fired based on whatever she was talking about at the time. You're not happy with, maybe how Christopher was treated as well. Then fine, say that and walk away, but don't just be so, vague about it. If these are your reasons, say, hey, these are my reasons for leaving. This is it, right? So I think, again, I'm just happy to see this come up. So I wanted to point that out. So let's move on. Then Barrera was fired from the project after comments she made. Okay, this is exactly what I was talking about for what Melissa said. Landon dropped out of the project soon after, so Scream 7 has been redeveloped. Campbell has signed on to return as the franchise heroine, Sidney Prescott, back in the lead role, while Kevin Williamson, who wrote the screenplay for the original Scream, directs the film from a screenplay by 2022 Scream and Scream 6 writer Guy Busick, who crafted the story with his co-writer on the 5th and 6th films. Then just goes on to talk about Neve Campbell and all the additional castings for this film. So we're not reading through all that. We've covered that pretty extensively. When Coming soon asked him about reprising the role of Dewey for Scream 7, David Arquette said, I mean, it was a spoiler. It wasn't supposed to be released. It was supposed to be a surprise. I'm not really supposed to talk about it too much, but Kevin Williamson was directing, and that was a real thrill. And it's amazing to see him to be able to have the opportunity and to get Neve back in this one. And Matthew, I mean, it's exciting. I love playing the role of Dewey and will always love playing the role of Dewey. And I think that's the end of the article. So this, you've heard me say this kind of statement or phrase before. This wasn't on my bingo card. I would not have guessed David Arquette to come back and reprise the role as Dewey. And again, my prediction is for these characters coming back, Dewey, Matthew, Scott, David, Matthew, and Scott coming back to play their roles. It's either going to be hallucinations for Neve or Sydney in the film, for her specifically, or possibly her and Gale, or some combination, or we're going to see some more modern aspects of whoever the Ghostface killer or killers are. And they're going to, if you remember from like Mission Impossible 3, and then from 3 on, they started using those latex masks to steal the identity of somebody, and then they would put those little strips on their throats to sound like them as well. I'm wondering if they go down that approach. I'm wondering if it gets to a point where, hey, Scream 7, it's 2025, more modern day, and Ghostface is using more advanced technology and starts creating these silicone masks, these latex masks that he wears, and he's portraying these, like he puts like a Dewey mask on, and Sydney and Gale and whoever else sees this and thinks they're hallucinating, thinks they're going crazy, but they can actually then reach out and physically touch the person. Like, wait a minute, are you really Dewey? I thought you were dead, or I thought or like the other two Ghostface killers. I thought I killed you, right? I'm hoping they go that route. I think it would be a crazy switch up to actually bring back the actors who played those roles versus just having another, like doing some sort of digital or enhancement to somebody where you're just taking like somebody else's face and applying it over somebody else, right? I would like to see that. But again, I think they'll probably play it a little bit safe, and they might just be hallucinations based on the tragedies that especially Neve Campbell's character has gone through over all the various films. So anyways, that's going to do it for this horror news update. David Arquette is returning to Scream 7 in playing Dewey. Drop a comment in the comments section. Let us know what you think about this. Are you looking forward to more killed off characters returning to Scream 7. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised between now and early next year if we don't find out that Randy is somehow returning as well. So again, drop a comment in the comment section. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Later.